What is up with Praggnanandhaa, Ding Liren, and 17th of January? Well, you don't get me. 17th of January 2023, last year in Tata Steel, Pragg faces Ding and beats him. This is from 2023. And now, 1 year later in 2024, almost similar. Pragg has black pieces. I mean, we can make a spot the differences kind of a picture here. I guess the only difference is Pragg didn't have specs back then, because Ding has almost worn the same shirt, like here and here. This is 2024, but Pragg has specs. And he's managed to beat Ding once again, that too with the black pieces. It's a big day in the life of Pragg. Another huge difference, of course, is in 2023, Ding wasn't the world champion. Now he is the world champion. But not just that, with this win, Pragg has also become the India number 1 on the live rating list. Look at that. He's at world number 11 position with a rating of 2748.3, moving ahead by point 0.3 over Vishwanathan Anand. With this, Pragg becomes the third Indian who has overtaken Vishy in live ratings. Gukesh being the only one to do on published ratings, but Hari had done it before in live ratings, and now Pragg becomes the third player. Let's have a look at the game, because this one was very interesting, and to beat a player of the stature of Ding Liren, that too with the with the black pieces, is never easy. So it started off with 1 e4 by Ding, and Pragg went e5, knight f3, knight c6. We had the Ruy Lopez. By the way, last time when they played, the game happened was Italian in 2023. And there also, if we just make a few moves, this was the game. It was a very calm, cool position, and it felt like, you know um, equalish. But then Pragg got this move in, and I think at some point he also got this d5 move in, and he started to really put pressure on Ding with e5, and he managed to win this. So very minute edge, he converted it. Let's go here. Bishop b5, this year 2024 now. D a6, bishop a4, knight comes out, d3. The d3 Ruy Lopez is one of the most solid systems out there. It's like Italian, but the bishop is not on this diagonal, but rather on this one. Pragg pings his bishop out to c5, castles, b5, bishop goes back, d6, c3, and pawn comes to h6. Now, these days, bishop g5 lines are getting too much in, are being played a lot. So Pragg first stops that. Rook e1, castles, knight d2, bishop b6, knight f1, knight e7, a4, hitting the queen side, rook b8. Actually, the interesting thing is that Pragg had played this line with Korobov at Isle of Man, and there knight g3 was played by Korobov. Here, Ding seemed to have come up with an improvement with a4, rook b8, and h3, and he was blitzing out his moves like super quick, and Pragg was calmly making his moves. Knight came to g6, now the knight came to g3, he played c5, and here came the first inaccuracy of the game from white. I guess d4 leads to a normal position, but bishop e3 was played, and this is my first question to you. What should black play? A very important moment in the game. And also, guys, if you want to check this game and try out these moves, like here you have to pause and just think about the moves on YouTube. But if you want to try it out, go to Chess Ranga, and there you can actually make the moves on the board. Um, what I love about this move for Pragg is the fact that he didn't go through the motions. You can go through the motions here and play the move rook e8. It's a natural move. No one's really telling you that it's a bad move, it's a completely fine move, put your bishop on e6, and so on. But what Pragg managed to do here is stay alert and find the move c4. This is such an epic move. This is such a beautiful move. The main point is that this rook on b8 is looking at the pawn on b2. So let's say if you take here, then I can take on e3, rook e3, and now take on c4, bishop c4, rook b2. How much is it better for black is, I wouldn't say a very important question. The point is, black has got a great position out of the opening. You don't really imagine to get a risk-free slight edge position with black in 18 moves against d3 Ruy Lopez. So c4, Ding did not like taking there and letting the rook come to b2. So he took on b6. And here's my next question. Do you take with the queen or with the rook? Yes, very important to take with the rook, because if you take with the queen, this is already a mistake, because after I take, pawn takes, bishop takes, and now taking on b2 is met with queen takes d6, and already white is clearly winning here. So should not go into such stuff. Rook takes b6 makes a lot of sense. He played his bishop back to c2, a2. I think bishop c2 was also possible, but maybe he did not like take here, bishop takes, and b a4, attacking the b2 pawn. And the thing is, even if you defend it with queen c2, I go bishop d7 and I defend my a4 pawn, which may be doubled, but they are clamping down your b2 pawn there. So bishop a2 played. Now Pragg went queen c7. So already the bishop is slightly passive. But not just that. The thing is, your knight can jump to f4, which is an unprotected square. While if the white knight comes to f5, this is protected by the bishop. So AB, AB, bishop b1. Now takes, bishop takes. And knight jumps to f4. The thing is, if you go bishop f1 back, trying to preserve your bishop, I go b4 and I anyway have a lot of pressure on your queen side. So he played knight e2. And here Pragg made an important choice. Maybe not necessarily the best one. He could have also kept his knight back in the game, but he took on d3, queen d3, and then played bishop e6. Nice little move with the idea of putting the bishop here, pushing the pawn to b4. Knight came back to g3 and Pragg got the pawn moving in. Takes, rook takes. And now you will see that although black has this weakness on d6 and white has this weakness on b2, it's way more difficult to defend the b2 weakness, but easier to defend the d6 weakness. Let me explain by what I mean. After rook d1, black goes rook b6. And the point is to free the other rook and then put your knight on e8, which permanently defends here, and then start attacking the b2 pawn with all your might. So queen a3, rook b8, b2 is hanging, so rook d2, and now knight e8. So Pragg has got this beautiful setup here. His d6 pawn is very safe, and now he will triple down on the b pawn. Here we were discussing something very important that happens in chess, and maybe it's useful to point it out here. Often when you attack a weakness like here b2, it's not that winning the weakness is the most important thing. What is the most important thing is that in order for white to cling on to that pawn, often he gets into defensive position. So just as an example, if you play something like rook d1, I go rook b3, you go back with your queen, and now I have this bishop h3 move. You know, tactics flow like that. You won't win this pawn perhaps, or you may not even be interested because it kind of frees up white's position. But you will start putting pressure on other sides of the board. And imagine when you reach position like this, it's game over, right? Everything is weak for white. So by that logic, knight h2 was played by Ding. He was alert there with bishop h3 ideas. Pragg went rook b3, queen went to a1. And here, queen b6, knight f1. And I was very much expecting Pragg not to take that b2 pawn because look, all white pieces are passive because of it. And a very good idea could be to go g6, h5, maybe h4, wait there. But sometimes in chess, when you get an opportunity to win a pawn, it's not so easy to uh, stay away from it. So he took it, took, and we reach this position, which I believe is closer to a draw than a win for white, objectively. But in a game, maybe it is not as easy to defend here with white, especially with Pragg being the grinder. He's very good at grinding such positions. So knight e3, g6, nice move, improving. Rook a1. And here I was expecting to black to play h5, king g7, but Pragg played this slightly weird move, bishop a2. I'm not a big fan of this move. Also because it kind of forces Pragg with knight d1, because you see c2 is hit by knight e3, b2 is hit by knight d1, d2 is hit by knight f1, e2 is hit by knight g3. So rook doesn't have squares on the second rank. So essentially you would have to go rook b1 and come to this position, which Pragg did in the game. I believe it was Pragg's idea anyway, which he did in the game, to play this rook b1. And this is the game position. He thought that this is a good try for a win. Knight e2, and I think now it was perhaps better to play f5. Just get that rolling. The reason why Pragg's next move was not particularly great after bishop a2 is because now white has this idea with g4. And I was just thinking about it. Maybe it's good to also discuss it with Praggnanandhaa at some point. Maybe if we can, ask him after the tournament. Did he feel that here he has chances? Because my understanding is to get d5 will be very tough. To get f5 now will be very tough. White will put the knight on c3, bring his king up here. It might not be easy to win such a position. But king f2 by Ding, king f8, knight c3, Pragg waited. And now came the move which I thought was a big error. And I think Pragg also felt it during the game. He was like, why is Ding trying to exchange pieces when he's pawned down? Like, just go g4. Pragg just took knight takes and f5. And with this, the pressure is mounting. So, I feel a lot of psychological elements are at play here. It's not just about the objectivity of the thing. Ding was feeling quite stressed out and he was not able to defend to his best ability. Like here, play g3, keep your king on e2, wait. If he comes up with his knight to try and exchange, go back, try to play on. Who knows, there's good chances of holding. But Ding lost patience, pushed his pawn to f4. And here Pragg came up with a great move. I think this is something which Pragg does brilliantly. What would you play here as black? Yes. Pragg found this classy move, king f7. And by the way, any move, king f7 or even knight g7 or king g7, all of them give black a winning position. The only moves that do not give winning positions are active moves to take the pawn. So if you play e takes f4, g6 is hanging now. So can't take. And if you take here f e4, then king e3, good move. Take first here. And this is again not easy to convert, this position. So I guess Ding thought, let me push the pawn. He will take either of them and I will have good drawing chances. But Pragg just calmly played his king. And the reason why this king move is so strong is that in many lines where black has an extra pawn, the king is coming up to e6 and giving a big edge. So take here, take here, take here, take here. And now this is just winning. g3. He brought his king up. Knight f6, king e2, knight e4. I have one final question for you. What happens to king f3? Why is this a mistake? Yes, knight g3. And if you take here, f4 wins. So he had to play knight f1, passive, and again Pragg's next move, beautiful move, f4. Loved it. I just loved this move, pushing the pawn forward. Take, king f3, king goes to f5, king g2. And I think the only thing which has to be kind of be careful about is king g4, there is knight h2. And if you take here, king f3 draws. So Pragg was very careful. He was taking his time. He had like 10-15 minutes here. He rerouted his knight beautifully to the, I mean, if he got a chance, he would go to e5, controlling all these important squares. Knight c4, king went up. He took a pawn, came back, and now with his knight checked with another pawn. King came up, and here Ding resigned the game. Praggnanandhaa had beaten the world champion Ding Liren, and I think he becomes only the second Indian after Vishy Anand to beat a reigning world champion in a classical game. So that's a big thing there. And we can also have a look at the standings of the tournament, because now going into the first rest day, Anish Giri is leading with 3.5. Firuja is on 3. And Pragg is in the third position with Nepo, Nordirbek, and Vei. Vidit has been super solid with 4 draws. Gukesh has 1 win and 2 losses. So a very shaky event until now. Also, 17th of January is not just a good day for Pragg by beating 2 times Ding on this day, right, in 2023 and 24. But it's also a great day for Anish Giri, because in 2023 he beat Magnus Carlsen, and now in 2024 he beat Gukesh. So in a way, Anish and Pragg should, I guess, celebrate 17th of Jan as their day of this amazing day of theirs. Okay, guys, I hope you enjoyed this recap, and a huge congratulations for Pragg for beating Ding, and also for becoming India #1 on live rating list, and also moving closer to 2750. For now, this is Sagar Shah signing off. Bye bye.